Here we go, 3, 2, 1. Hey fish friends, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. Zenzo with Tazawa Tanks. As you can see behind me, there's a tank refilling. You might hear water in the background, you might hear water pumping in the background, and I'm doing a bunch of water changes and maintenance in the fish room. Why? Because I've left all of my tanks alone for 9 days, and I wanted to show you what it looks like when you do nothing to your aquariums, or to my aquariums, but essentially the same thing could happen in your aquarium. So during the entire time that I was gone, I was actually in Paris on a vacation. Yeah, I did nothing with my aquariums. I didn't have any auto feeders set up in any of these tanks. I didn't have anyone come over to the house and do any feedings. Obviously, I do manual water changes, so I do not have any auto water changes or auto top off. In the previous video, you might have seen me doing a change to the sump filter and putting in a canister filter, and that was because of evaporation and just ease of use and things like that. But what I thought I would do is kind of walk around and show you what it looks like when I left or leave my tanks alone. Now, right before I started doing these water changes, I walked around with the camera and filmed every tank so that you can kind of see what it looks like. So this is what the tanks look like after being left alone for essentially 9 days, no feeding. And I actually popped in here earlier. Everyone is alive, everyone's okay, no fish are missing. Going to be doing some water changes, obviously, and some feeding, but everyone looks to be doing all right. Like this tank right here, like it looks normal. Water level's a little bit low on this one, which is just due to evaporation from the dehumidifier, but overall looking quite well. The Tanganyikan tank. Got the West Africans over here. A little bit more plant growth, so this is turning into quite the jungle, which was kind of what we were looking for. I'll have to start trimming some plants in here. Oop, I just saw a night goby pop its head back into a cave, but there's a green spotted puffer right there in a corner. Everyone's doing all right in this tank. Got to do some trimming on some plants, but overall looking quite well. Everyone's out and about, hungry and anxious, but still looking quite healthy. A little bit of algae, but we'll take care of that. Mud skippers. Mollies, and our two little duckweed eaters over here, our two goldfish. So not bad, pretty good, I would say. Before I go on, do me a big favor, hit that like button. It really does help my channel and it helps the algorithm, and if you don't mind, please do consider subscribing to my channel. I would very much appreciate it. So as you can see, you know, everything looked good. The fish were healthy. I didn't see any fish losses, as I mentioned when I kind of did my walkthrough. No one was starving to death. Everyone looked healthy. The tank parameters were pretty good. I actually did a nitrate test on a few tanks, and everything was within parameters. So doing a quick nitrate test here, you can see that, yeah, after about 9 days, like 25, maybe 30 parts per million, definitely under 50, so not so bad for leaving them alone for that long. Yeah, now I'm just gonna do some water changes, kind of, you know, normal routine water changes and maintenance, obviously feeding and getting all my fish, you know, fat and healthy again. But I just want people to know, because people were asking me, they heard that I was going on vacation, what do you do with your tanks? I did nothing. So basically, before I left, I did, you know, a bunch of water changes and maintenance to just make sure that all my tanks were pretty much tip top and, you know, low bio load, so not a lot of nitrate, etc. And I was also cognizant to do plenty of feedings beforehand to kind of make my fish a little bit extra thick and to just make sure that they had lots of nutrients in them so that while I was gone, they were okay without eating. Now, as far as food is concerned, really when you are gone on vacation for, you know, 6, 7, 8, 9 days in my case, for the most part, your fish will be fine. You might have some issues with aggression where some more aggressive cichlids or other types of fish might pick on others because they're cranky or hangry. And you'll also have issue with fry. So if you're breeding fish, if you have newly hatched fish, just make sure that those baby fish do have the ability to eat, because if you don't feed them, they could starve. One might be a little bit noisier. All right, continuing on. Now, why is that? Well, basically it just has to do with the mass of a fish and also their growth. So if you have, you know, fully formed adult fish, they're not growing anymore, so they're not expending any energy in growth. And also they have more body mass, so basically they can go longer without eating because they have essentially fat reserves. With baby fish, they are growing, so they are expending energy to grow, and they also don't have those fat reserves. So if you do have baby fish, you'll want to make sure that you have some way of feeding them, otherwise you can lose them, or the larger fish might predate on them. Now, in my case, I don't have any babies growing right now, so that wasn't an issue, and I just left them alone. Hey everyone, so before we finish this video, I'm on another trip, but this is a work trip, not vacation. And actually, I've got Irene with me from Girl Talks Fish. We happen to work at Aquarium Co-op together. So anyway, yeah, Irene also went on a vacation recently. You were in Europe for like 2 weeks, right? So let's hear from Irene what she did when she left her fish alone.
So basically, since I was gone for 2 weeks, there was no way I could go with not feeding the fish the whole time. So I actually asked my neighbor, who is not a fish keeper at all, to come every 3 days. And then the food I asked him to feed was cubes. So I had a piece of tape and I labeled each tank. And I was like 1 cube, 2 cubes, you know, depending on what it was. And he did a great job. And the second task I gave him was to fish out any dead fish that he found, just so that they wouldn't be like an ammonia spike or anything.
And did you have any dead fish?
No, 0.
All right. Now also remember that when you're away on vacation, your aquariums, it's not nature. So out in nature, your fish don't have a person coming by with perfectly formed, highly nutritious pellet foods or flake foods or frozen or fresh or whatever it might be, and feeding it in the aquarium every day or twice a day or whatever it might be with your feeding schedule. They're out there fighting and fending and foraging for food, and they're not always going to have a nice teaspoon of pellet food every day. So your fish will be fine if you leave them alone for a few days without feeding them. So anyway, I just wanted to make this quick little video, show you guys what's going on, explain that it is okay to leave your tanks alone for a few days. If you are concerned, you can always, you know, set up an auto feeder or, you know, have a friend or family member come over and feed your fish. But in my case, I left them alone. This was actually the longest I've left them alone, and I was happy to see that they're doing okay. Everything was fine. So knowing that if I do have another vacation in the future that's around a week and a half or so, they should be okay. So anyway, hopefully that helps. You can watch this other vacation video over here. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We'll catch you on the next one.